Bible says trust in the Lord with all of your heart, all of it. To trust in Him, have faith in Him, to believe in Him. When you think about trusting God, I kind of think, isn't that kind of where all of this began? Whether you look at it from a good point of view or a bad point of view. I mean, there they are in the garden, Adam and Eve, hanging out with God, fellowship and having dominion over all that He'd made. He'd entrusted that to them. And what does He tell them? He says, don't eat of this tree in particular. Eat of all the rest of them, but this tree of the knowledge of good and evil, I'm trusting you not to do this. So it begins with the idea of trust. And I've got to ask you today on a more personal level, as we talk about that, is what is it like for you and I? I mean, I'm 35 years of age, and my life seemed to go pretty simple. Obviously, some crazy stuff happened, but then I met the Lord. But then even as a Christian, where do I trust God? And my mother of 67, was diagnosed with cancer, and I prayed for her for 2 years to be healed, and she dies. I mean, do I trust God? When my wife miscarries our 4th child, struggling and pain and hurt and tears and anxiety and stress. I mean, do I trust God? And where do you trust God today? What is your boss going to say this week? How are your kids acting this week? What is your spouse doing? Do you really trust God? Can you take your Isaac and put it up on that mountain? Can we follow Abraham? Can we be like the patriarchs of the faith? Because I love what the Apostle Paul says in Romans 8. And you might even have this, written on your fridge, on your wall somewhere. But he says that Romans 8:28. And we know that all things work together for the good to those who love God and are called according to His purpose. And we just say, that's so great. Put it above the door. I feel good. We forget to look at the 10 verses earlier in 8:18. What Paul is doing in the same letter is saying, I don't consider the sufferings of the present time to be worthy to be compared with the glory, God's glory, that's going to be revealed. Meaning, as I write this letter to you, I am going through some hard times. Things are difficult and tough. But you know what? I know that all things work out together for the good to those who love God, who are called according to His purpose. And what does he say next? Because we are all predestined to be made into the image of Jesus. What does that mean? It means that when I went through stuff with my mother and my child, 5 months along, almost miscarrying, that was a crazy time. But you know what I can trust God with today? Is that I watched my mother confess Jesus as Lord. And I believe that she's dancing in heaven today with my daughter that I've never met. And so I look at your life and I say, where are you? What is going on in your life? Are you able to say, God, that whatever is going on in my home, are you faithful giving me my daily bread, what I'm called to do? Are you faithful leaving me here to live for you, that all my responsibility is to do is, God, receive your forgiveness, the cross and the blood, what you've done for me, and trust in you? And that's the deal. Jesus said, speaking, when He comes back, will He find faith in the earth? Will He trust God? And I'll tell you this, God can't love you anymore. He doesn't need to love you anymore. Putting His perfect Son on the cross for you, for every sin, every lie, every lustful thought, every blasphemy. He loves you as much as anyone ever can. And He isn't going to love you anymore. So you can trust in Him. Because I look at that cross and I say, why me? And the things I did and the things I thought. And you can say, why me? Well, because God loves you. And if God loves you as a dad, then be His child and trust Him. God bless you.